sensei once consoled a grief-stricken boy as his older brother prepared to leave for battle. He said, "Child, why do you cry? You are both part of a family, and a family is a bond that cannot be broken by war, by strife, by force, or neglect. And more importantly, you are brothers, and brothers you shall remain, despite time, argument, and even distance." Choosing this jungle for your training was no coincidence, Leonardo. Legend says that a long time ago, ancient warlords ruled this land.
Welcome to TMNT, the movie game. There we go, I said it right. I like the bit of flair in when each level starts, how they count down before telling you to go. It adds that little bit of extra oomph. Reminds you that this is a game about going fast, about beating the levels as flawlessly as you can. Anyway, normally I would tell you this is a tutorial level, and it's not exactly indicative of the rest of the game design, but I can't do that this time because the TMNT video game does kind of a neat thing, where it introduces new ideas at several points throughout the entire game, like even toward the end. And most of the ideas are expansions on the core game mechanics so they don't feel too out of place. But the best part is that these levels where you learn new mechanics, they don't feel like tutorials in any way. They still feel like their own unique levels with their own themes and unique platforming challenges. So even though you're supposed to be learning things in those levels, they don't feel like they're filler in any way, shape, or form. They're still enjoyable just as much as the rest of the game. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what our turtle can do. Our turtle has a single jump which can vary in height and length depending on how long we hold down X. And at any time during our first jump we can press X again to do a double jump. The at any time part is really important. If we double tap X quickly, for example, we'll get a really high jump without much length. But if we wait and tap X at just the right moment, we'll get a really long jump. Now, a lot of other 3D platformers have done this variable height mechanic in their jumping. You know, it's nothing too special. But what makes TMNT unique in this respect is exactly how much control it gives you over the length and height of your jumps, which is to say more control than in any other 3D platformer. You jump exactly as high and far as you want to. When I first started playing this game, I actually accidentally made it harder on myself than it was supposed to be because I assumed there was some kind of limitation on how much I could manipulate my jump height and my jump length when there wasn't. As for how the turtles move in the air, you can adjust their angle in the air, but it's not really necessary, because the platforming is incredibly linear. Most of the time you're going to be platforming forward, and the times where you need to platform backward and to the sides, as infrequent as they are, the camera angle helps you out with that. The few times you're going to want to change your direction, like, immensely in the air, it's usually for speedrunning stuff. Alright, so let's talk about the combat now because we don't have much of a choice. Circle is our basic attack and each turtle has a different combo, which varies immensely in their utilities, but we're not really going to be using any of the turtles' basic combos unless we absolutely have to, because there's a rather overpowered mechanic where we can hold down circle, and after we hold down circle for a certain period of time, if we let go of circle, the game will zip us to all the enemies automatically and allow us to hit them. Right now I'm showing off the basic attack simply because you're not going to see them, really. But yeah, holding down circle and letting go of it zips our turtle to every available enemy on the screen. And does a single hit to each of them. It may not deal a lot of damage, but it's the quickest way to kill enemies and the least risky way, so there's no reason not to do that all the time. Making the basic combos pretty much useless. Now, I could imagine the combat being difficult if you're some kind of idiot and tried to mash the attack button, but why would you do that when there's a solution to that and you just have to hold down the button to access it? Anyway, back to the platforming, the turtles can do some things you might expect like wall jump and ledge grab, but these barely register because they're so easy to pull off. Like I said, you just mash the X button and they do really cool things all the time for you, and it feels really good. But the ledge grabbing and wall jumping It doesn't feel challenging to pull off in any way. It's just satisfying. That's really all it is. There is one platforming mechanic that I extremely have issues with, but we haven't gotten there yet. So you may have noticed we've been doing quite a bit of vertical ledge climbing in this level. There's actually not a lot of that in the other levels. They try to make sure all the levels have some distinguishing features to them, in spite of there being 15 levels. And I think the distinguishing feature of this level is all the vertical climbing with ledge grabbing we do. Because most of the time when you do ledge grabbing, it's decidedly more horizontal than that. Also, it's an incredibly small thing, but you may notice all the little rocks and bumps in the environment. That's to stop us from just walking forward, because we can't walk past those, we have to jump over them. But the jumping feels so breezy and easy to pull off that there's no reason to not be jumping at all times. You know, the jumping feels great. If you're not doing flips all the time, you're probably not playing the game right. A lot of those bumps and small hiccups in the environment are really only noticeable when you're trying to go as fast as possible because they slow you down very slightly, which is important when you're trying to go as quickly as you can. Like, for example, walking through those rivers back there might have not have been a big deal if you're playing casually, but it's important not to waste your time doing that if you want the highest rank. So it's time for an introduction to a mechanic that really butchers the Turtles license and the movie. Each time we defeat a bad guy, we get a star, and after we defeat 10 bad guys and get all 10 stars, we get access to a mega attack. This mega attack allows us to defeat every enemy in a single hit. This, coupled with our attack that allows us to snap to the enemies, means it's the quickest way to eliminate enemies. The problem is that this has nothing to do with the Turtles thematically or emotionally. The Turtles only fight when they have to. So having a mechanic that rewards them for being aggressive makes no sense. Neither does the overdependence on combat in this game. Especially in Leonardo's case. Especially in Leonardo's case. At the end of the mission, the game tallies up our score. We got an A+ rank this time, even though we missed some of the coins. We'll talk more about the ranking system later. It's slightly more complex than it seems at first, so don't freak out if you do poorly in one of the areas, because it won't completely ruin your A+ rank. I'll see you for the next video.